Hello! Hi, everybody. We are going to be talking about Sex Education Season 3 that just launched on Friday. Welcome. I've seen in the chat that some people are already saying that they have watched the whole thing over the weekend and so that you're ready. But just so that you know, we're going to be doing no spoilers for the first part of this stream, and then I will give you a warning as to when I'll start talking spoilers for the new season. There will probably be spoilers for the first 2 seasons, just in the entire thing. If you could also please refrain from any spoilers in the chat until I say we are ready, just to bleh all of the spoilers everywhere. That would be great. There shouldn't be an echo because I've got no sound coming out of my computer. Okay. So I took some notes, but I left my notebook at home because my brain is not working today. However, my husband Dan kindly took some photos of my notes. And so when I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my notes. Fantastic. And if I'm looking here, I'm looking at the chat. For anyone who is watching this as a replay, hi. We're going to get into the content, the sex education content. But first off, in chat, just so I get a vague idea of how many of you have watched the entire 3rd season, let me know in the chat now. If you haven't, also say so I get a vague idea of maybe like how much time to spend on non-spoilery time, and then how much time to spend on spoilery time. Okay, if I burp, I apologize, and there's a fizzy drink here. Okay. Also, I really want this to be like a group chat, because like, look how many of you are here who have watched it, and we're just like all very excited to talk about it. And there's going to be lots of times where I'm like, hey, I don't know what I think about this. What do you think about this? Oh, this is fun. Okay. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to start off in our non-spoilery chat to talk about some of the key themes that came up in the new season, at least from my perspective. Again, if there are any like key themes that came up for you, I would love to hear about them. But these are ones that like really stood out to me, and I want to talk about these themes vaguely before we dive into the spoilery details. Jerome, thank you. Greetings from Hong Kong. Oh yeah. So I've never done live streams since YouTube introduced the super chat function. So thank you for that $10. Okay. I see some people like putting in themes already, like toxic masculinity. And yes, I did plan out the thumbnail with the outfit matching. So that the thumbnail for this live stream I took like a week ago, knowing that then I would wear this when I actually did the live stream, because that's how my brain works. Okay, so big themes of Sex Education Season 3. Okay, this may seem like an obvious one, but for me, love was a big one. But I'm not talking about romantic love. Whilst, yes, that's an element. For me, like, some of the shining storylines and really beautiful character moments were between friends, friendship love. Like, oof, that really hit hard. And then also multiple relationships of like parent-child love, like family love. Yeah, someone said vulnerability within families. Yes, family. Ugh, yes. The family and friendship love elements in this season, I just thought they really stood out to me and were really, really profound. I don't know. Whew. Yeah. Another one that actually I've seen come up in the chat is shame. Shame, I think, was a massive theme in this series. Kind of like a thread throughout, like one of those themes that actually kind of felt like it had some sort of resolution, I guess. Have any of you seen Big Mouth? Because it felt like season 2 of Big Mouth, if anyone has seen that, where, I mean, in Big Mouth, it's a bit more literal because there's a character called the Shame Wizard in season 2. Is it the Shame Wizard? Something like that. Yes, the Shame Wizard. And that beautiful scene at the end of season 2 in Big Mouth, spoilers for that, but where all of the kids, because in Big Mouth it's like, I don't know, tweens, like they're like 12, 13 years old, the characters in that show, they all just like fight off the Shame Wizard by just saying out loud what it is, the thing that was like eating them up inside and that they were feeling shame about and being silenced over. And yeah, the shame through line and resolution in series 3 really reminded me of that. Yes. And then another thing that I thought was a big theme in this new series that sex education hadn't really explored yet, which I've seen a lot of people mentioning in the chat as well, was gender, because we got 2 non-binary characters, which we'll talk more about later properly when we get into the spoilery stuff. But yes, really loved that inclusion. But again, we'll talk more in detail about that. But I think that the theme of gender was definitely like explored a bit more in this series than it had been in previous ones. And then, I mean, the show is called Sex Education, but more so than in other series, I think like a big theme was sex education, was SRE, sex and relationships education. It was a bit more on the nose, the sex education, than in previous seasons, because we actually kind of like see the students of Moordale having RSC lessons and where they lack, and what, like, actually having themes in the show that is about like what is good SRE, what is bad SRE, what is SRE that puts young people's needs first rather than it being about the agenda of any like adults and what they want. That was obviously like a big a big theme in this new season. So those are the main 4 themes that kind of like stood out for me. I'd love to know what other themes came up for you. Consent and contraception, yes, that came up. Sexual assault, yeah. With Amy's storyline, like, you know, it didn't just end with what happened in season 2 with the sexual assault on the bus. But you actually see kind of like the aftermath of how that's affecting her. Grief, trust. Oh yeah, trust is a big one. Disability, yes, I definitely want to talk about disability. Communication, yes. Yeah, later pregnancy at a later age, and a lot of the stigma around that, for sure. Okay. One more thing I wanted to mention, oh wait, someone said also black culture and homophobia. Yes. This isn't something that I can really speak on, but I'd be really interested if there's any people of color in the chat, because I feel like sex education like does like colorblind casting, maybe. Like it's very diverse in its characters, but you never often get storylines that are about the character's race. And so that's something that I don't really know how to talk about or have enough info on, so I'd be interested to know, because I know that like Bridgerton got a lot of that's the wrong word, got a lot of pushback for being like colorblind in its casting, and then like falling really short in actually how it discussed race in the world that it was building. But yeah. Okay. Flack. Yeah, maybe flack was the word I was looking for. Yes, how LGBTQ plus people are seen in other countries. Yes, that also comes up. Okay. So one more thing I wanted to mention before we get into spoiler territory, because I feel like a lot of us here have seen the full third season and really want to get into that. Oh yes, the microaggression from the head teacher. Oh, okay, yeah. Wait, we'll mention that when we get into the spoiler bit, because oof. Okay. One more thing. It's not really a spoiler, but it's just something that like actually made me laugh, and I wanted to put this to you. When Adam says that he didn't grow up in a naked family, and was it Otis? I think he was talking to Otis. And Otis like, what's a naked family? It's like, oh, when you always naked and talk about your feelings. And this actually cracked me up, because it made me realize that I was like, oh, I grew up in a naked family. And I love that it's something that like, it's like a trope that other people might have, or it's like, yeah, it's like a trope that other people might be like, oh yeah, you grew up in a naked family, and yes, so yeah, my parents are very much like naked around the house and not bothered by that at all, and yeah, we talked about feelings. So I just wondered if there was anyone else out there who grew up in a naked family. But yes, I love that. I'm very much going to own that as a, naked emotionally and physically, indeed. Yeah. Okay, we're going to get into spoilers now. So this is your warning. If you have not seen season 3 of Sex Education, there are 8 episodes. If you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled for all of it, any of it, then bow out now. This video will be saved. This live stream will be saved. So if you haven't watched it and you want to finish it, this will be saved so you can come back and watch it afterwards. But this is your warning. And also, I'm not really going to be going through like episode by episode. It is just going to be like more thematic and kind of like talking about the series as a whole. So you have been warned. A shout out for New York. I love New York. I miss New York. Okay. Are we ready? Right, we're in spoiler territory now, so feel free to spoil away in the chat. Okay. So someone mentioned disability. And I just want to shout out the scene with Isaac and Maeve. It was so good. I can't remember which episode it was in. But the scene where like Isaac and Maeve have a bit of a kiss and like a sexual, intimate moment, but they have this conversation about, because of Isaac's disability, what he can feel and where he can feel it and what kind of sensations he likes and enjoys, and then vice versa also what kind of touch Maeve likes. And it was so good. It was so beautifully shot. It was so beautifully acted. It was just so well executed. The consent, the communication, just the representation of a disabled person, like talking about sex, being a sexual person, and them like working around it and it not feeling like an obstacle, and it being this like really sexy, like intimate moment. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Loved it. I see lots of other people in the chat very much also appreciating that scene. And it was brief, but it was great. Yes. Yeah, the consent and the communication, and like the consent and the communication present in that moment between Isaac and Maeve isn't just necessary if one or both or all people are disabled. I think it's good to know, and just to put it out there, that should be for all sexual encounters and relationships. That level of, hey, like, where do you like to be touched? What kind of touch do you like? Authentic consent. Yes, Gareth. Okay. Next. So I mentioned that one of my favorite themes of this new series was love and friendship love. And I just really want us to talk about Maeve and Amy and them being each other's mums. Did anyone else just like break at that scene where Amy says to Maeve, hey, both of our mums are shit. Why don't we be each other's mums? Ooh. And so sweet. The two of them, I love that we see the kind of like the fight that they have as well, which was about money, which I think was really important to put in there, because talking about money is something that I like to do a lot on my other channel, to kind of like break a lot of the taboos around that. And talking about money, especially in relationships, is something that I'm really passionate about advocating for. But then also, money can be a thing that causes tension in friendships as well. And that's really important to address and be aware of, because money is such an emotional issue for so many people. Money means something different to so many people. Circles back to shame. Yes, absolutely. And so whilst that was kind of like not a big theme of the series, money or whatever in general, I'm really glad that there kind of like was that discussion in there of like friendship and just relationships in general and closeness when you're in completely different financial situations, and how do you navigate that, and how do you talk about that with each other? Yeah, money and sexuality sometimes go hand in hand shame-wise in society, for sure. For sure. But yes, Amy and Maeve's friendship is so good. I love how much it was really centered in this series, and even in season 2 as well. Yeah, And another friendship is obviously Otis and Eric. Obviously the Otis and Eric love story. Sorry, I'm like reading chat at the same time. I didn't really think that this series was going to be, I don't think it centered their friendship as much. Like Otis and Eric's friendship seems to be kind of just like the foundation, for me at least, of like all of sex education. It's just kind of like there. But the scene in the hospital when Eric was there for Otis, when his mum, when Jean was in surgery, like the scene at the, what's it called? Vending machine. The scene at the vending machine when Otis breaks down and Eric is holding him and supporting him. And that guy comes along trying to use the vending machine and Eric just tells him where to go. Like, can't you see my friend is like upset here or whatever? Like that was just like, for me, that was just quintessential, like Eric being hilarious and just being so funny. But then also just like being such a good friend, and it just being the way he acts, whilst it's, yes, funny for us to watch, but he's doing what he's doing and saying what he's saying because he loves Otis. Yes. Yeah, and we also just love seeing like men being friends with each other. Some boy friendships. Yes, and actually I want to get onto Eric. As someone has said, Eric was a lot more flawed this season, which is interesting. Yes. Eric kind of became a bit more of the villain. Not the villain. But it's so interesting, the storyline and the way that they've developed like Adam's character in a way that we now all really love Adam and really care about Adam. Even though, like, I'm still mad at him for his big public display at the end of series 2, where he publicly, like, makes Eric choose him in front of everyone. Just, like, did not like that. But, like, Adam's redemption story has been really strong, really believable. And oh my God, his poem, you just like, you really feel for him. And actually this is something that I'd be curious to know any queer viewers who are watching, because this is something that I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is okay or not. And it's probably, it's more, well, it would be more of a thing in queer relationships than in straight relationships, which is what I'm used to. But the reason why Eric and Adam break up, like, on the one hand, I'm like, surely dumping someone because they're, like, not ready to come out to certain people is a bit of a dick move. But then also understanding that different people are going to be at different stages in accepting their identity and just, like, in embracing a more queer lifestyle, whatever that looks like for them. And there might just be people that are just at that time incompatible because they're at different stages. And so I'd just be really curious to know from any people who maybe have like personal experience with that, of like is what Eric did, like, was that a dick move? Was he a dick to Adam? Like, is that a bad reason for breaking up with someone? Or is this actually something that reasonably happens in a lot of queer relationships where people are just at different stages in terms of like acceptance and their identity and stuff. Oh my God. Keeping up with chat is hard. Oh my God. Circles back to shame. Yes. would never pressure a partner to come out. It's awful. I thought Adam was going to be irredeemable. Oh my god, this is so hard to keep up for, but everyone has got a lot of feelings about Eric and Adam. Yes. I think Eric was a bit of a dick in the way he went around it, but not wanting to be in a closeted relationship is very relatable. Ooh, okay. Young Royals did quite well at looking at this. I've not seen that. Okay. I personally wouldn't push my partner to come out, but yeah, that can be a huge issue. Yeah. So it could potentially be something that like comes up in a relationship that you have to navigate. Hate how Eric shamed Adam when Adam seemed to have changed his mind about having sex. Okay. Lots of thoughts about Adam and Eric. Okay, but one thing that has come up a lot in the chat that we haven't talked about yet, which I think was a big thing in series 3, is Ruby. Who is ready to talk about Ruby? Ruby Matthews. Okay. So Ruby, before series 3, I mean, we got a bit of a glimpse into her personality at the end of series 2. But for the most part, we knew her as the kind of like vain, popular girl. But we really get to know her this series. And I feel like Adam and Ruby are like the two of the characters that a lot of people are like, was not expecting to like them, but now like I just want to hold them and protect them and like give them everything that they need. But yes, vulnerable Ruby was really nice to see. I think it was also really cool to see a representation of like a disabled parent and a young person, like I was about to say offspring, which is such a weird way of saying child, but I didn't want to say child because Ruby's not a child, she's 17. Anyway, but yeah, a young carer, basically. And I really, yes, Ruby's another character struggling with shame around her home life. Absolutely. Oh my God, shame is just such a big topic. Oh my goodness. Yes, young carer, thank you. Offspring carer, what the hell, Hannah? But yeah, one of the things that I really loved about Ruby's storyline in this series was actually how the relationship with Otis made her open up to her friends. And that, I think, is the real winner. Like, yes, she's going to be heartbroken over the breakup with Otis and saying I love you and not having that said back to you. Like, oh my goodness, the pain. But overall, long term, I think like this whole experience is going to be really great for Ruby because she invited her friends over to see her home. And probably we don't see it happening, but we assume that they maybe met her dad as well. And yes, it's friendship love again. It's friendship love. And the three of them, Ruby, Olivia, and is the guy Anwar? Is that his name? Just like the three of them are often played for like the popular group comedy, blah, blah, blah. But I really love that they gave all three of them that depth and showed Olivia and Anwar like going to support her, like literally just like she texts them the address, like come now, and they're like, they are good friends, like they are there, they are comforting her, you know, they are, that's the friendship vibe that we love. Okay. It's like Mean Girls, but with more vulnerability. Yes, exactly. Okay. I wanted to continue on the no, I'm eating sweets. The love theme, right? Because I mentioned at the beginning that family love. So now I want to go into a bit more detail about the family love elements that just like really shone through for me. Oh yeah, don't worry, we are going to talk about Hope Haddam, aka Umbridge. Don't mind me once I cross my legs. Oh, there we go. Okay, the family love. Number one, obviously, Otis and Jean. Otis and his mum. Like, did anyone else just like absolutely break when Otis thought his mum might die? Oh boy. Oh boy. But yes. That relationship has obviously like been really central to the entire 3 series that we've had so far. But I just think, yeah, you especially, you really, I'm like welling up thinking about it. Yeah. The other, I'm going to have to move on from talking about that. The other like parent-kid relationship that got more screen time was Jakob and Ola. But I actually think that the kind of like the love storyline there was actually less about them two and actually more about Ola and her mum who has passed away. And Ola being able to like talk about that grief with her dad and also with her friends. I'm seeing lots of people saying that they didn't like Jakob this series. Interesting. I have thoughts, but we will get to him. Yeah, Adam and his mum was a huge part of it. Eric and his mum was a big part of it. And then of course, like Maeve and her really difficult relationship with her mum also was present in this series as well. Lots of people's relationships with their mums. Yeah, and Jackson's mum. I was wondering if they were gonna have either of Jackson's mums in this series because neither of them like appeared in it until I think the final episode or something. But and then you even get Lily and her mum. Yeah. Oh my god, was this series just like a love letter to mums? Anna as a foster mum. Yes. And then like Maeve and Amy being each other's mums. Oh my god. Yes. It's the mum. It's really, yeah. Okay. I thought I'd originally written down that it was like parent-child love, but actually now it's mum-child love. Mums are great, dads are emotionally repressed. Yeah, maybe sex education needs to do something different with the dads. I thought it was really interesting that actually Mr. Groff got a little bit, like a glimpse of a redemption arc in this series. And I'll be interested to see if they continue going down that route. We will see. Daddy issues are real. Yep. Yes, the horrible headmaster. What is a gender neutral term for headmaster, headmistress? I think she calls herself headmistress, I think. But her trying to have a baby. Yeah, Eric's dad was absent from this series, even though like his relationship with his dad was a really big part of series 1. But we got more of Eric and his relationship with his mum again. Head teacher, there we go, thank you. That just escaped my brain for some reason. Principal, yeah, there we go. Right. Okay, so whilst we're talking about it, should we talk about Hope? Hope Haddon, who is basically the Umbridge of sex education. Here's something that I realized after watching the series, is that I'm probably closer in age to Hope and life experience and just like what I'm going through than than the main characters, than the teenagers, right? Because the teenagers are all 17. I'm 29. Hope must be, I don't know, early mid-30s or something. And so if the teenagers in sex education are meant to be Gen Z, then Hope's a millennial, right? And she was awful. Just awful. Like, okay, I don't know the intricacies of the law in the UK, but maybe if you're still here, maybe you know. But the assembly where she put the like shame cards on Adam, Lily, and Cal, child abuse? Surely that's illegal. Surely somebody who does that and makes young people feel that way should not be in a job where they are in charge of young people's well-being. Thank you, Gareth. Yeah. It was full-on child abuse. Because, yeah, child abuse, emotional abuse. And I know I wasn't calling them children before, but in the eyes of the law, under 18, yeah. I mean, I get it's a fictional TV show, but watching that was hard to watch. Yes, and locking Cal in the room. Yeah. Holy shit. This is the microaggression that we were talking about before. Knew she was bad news when she assumed Adam was the head boy instead of Jackson. Assuming, because she sees a white boy and a black boy waiting outside her office, assumes that the white boy is the head boy. They were all LGBTQ plus kids as well. Yes. They were all... Yeah. Okay, so the actress who plays Hope is 36. Yeah. Honestly, painful. And like, not that I need every like evil fictional character to have a redemption arc. Or like have a sob story. Do you know what I mean? Or like depth to them to be like, why are they so evil? It was, I don't know. She was just pretty much evil. Using funding as a tool to control Maeve. Ooh, yeah, and then didn't even get the funding. Yes. Okay, right. We were going for a while. And guess what? We haven't talked about Cal yet. Yes, Cal was such a catalyst for Hope's entire story. Yeah, because Cal was probably her main antagonist in terms of like actually standing up to her. Cal is my new fave. And Layla, yes. And I really do love that, obviously, like, Cal was the main character, the main non-binary character that we get to know in this series, but we also kind of, like, briefly see Layla, and I thought it was really interesting how you was shown, like, two different non-binary perspectives in terms of, like, where they're both at with their identity, speaking up for themselves, and then also just, like, that scene in the final episode where Cal is teaching Layla about binder safety as well. And yeah, it was really cool to see like Cal very like self-assured in their identity, at least from what we saw, I guess. And being able to speak up for themselves, and Layla not so much. But I don't know, that's what am I trying to say? And them helping each other, yes. Yes. So also relationships where one partner is queer and the other is not. So this is interesting to me, because I guess another equivalent would be somebody who is straight in a relationship with somebody who is bisexual, depending on if it's a same-sex relationship or not. Like, it might be a straight passing relationship. Like, is it still a queer relationship? And I guess that's something for the people in the relationship to navigate themselves. But Cal explicitly said that it was important for them, for like anyone that they get into a relationship with, for them to know, like, hey, if you're with me, you are in a queer relationship, because that is clearly important to Cal. Oh, wait, Amelia, let me make you a mod. There we go. And you are... Right. Sorry about that spam, folks. Do you reckon Layla might change their name next season, and that the topic of dead names be raised? Maybe. Eliza said, I found that really food for thought as a non-binary person. Do you mean the stuff about like even if you're in a straight passing relationship, is it a queer relationship? How, yeah. Oh, there was something I wanted to say about, so like future topics in terms of like non-binary and trans stuff to be explored. Like, I thought it was really great that the rep that we got in this series was non-binary. Like, I thought that was really great to explore. But also I think I wonder if maybe they wanted to explore a more binary trans experience, but were maybe scared to. I don't know. Because especially with at least the hostility in the UK currently, especially towards trans women, like, I wonder, I just wonder if, I would really like to see sex education handle a storyline with a trans girl character. I love when Viv called Cal a girl, and she corrected herself with no fuss to person, and it just shows how it should be done. Yeah. As an intersex person, it still hurts that even shows like this don't include any intersex stories. Yes. I would be interested to see if that's something that they explore in the future. For sure. There's plenty of hostility towards NBs though, so I'm sure they could do a binary trans people. Yeah. I think there's a lot less understanding, at least, around like non-binary identity. Okay. It's like 4:45. So one topic actually that I wanted to touch on, that's kind of like more relationship based, that I'm interested in. Also, I love that we've gotten like this far through this stream and we haven't even talked about Otis and Maeve yet. Which we will talk about, but I just look, that is like not a priority. But this kind of came up in in the storyline with Jean and Jakob. And it was like briefly also touched on by, what is Adam's mum's name? Maureen. I dropped the Motus bomb. I know. I know, we got so far without even like talking about them. I have already made a vulva cupcakes video, actually. Okay, so the theme I wanted to talk about was love versus compatibility, because I feel like this came up in some of the conversations with Jean and Jakob in the couples therapy that they were having, but then also in what Maureen was saying about her relationship with Mr. Groff. What's his first name? I don't know. Yeah, Maureen and Jean, another great friendship story. Another great friendship. Michael, there we go, thank you. So, love versus compatibility. And love, I'm also like, I'm kind of passion, let's say. And so, basically, what makes a good, long-lasting, healthy relationship, right? So Maureen says that her and Michael had compatibility. They were very similar people. Maybe there was that love there at the beginning, but no. Not a passionless marriage. And then Jakob and Jean, they very much have the love and the passion. But are they compatible, though? And actually, which is more important in a romantic relationship? Or is it actually the case that you need both? This is something that I am interested in. Jakob and Jean are not compatible. Awful couple. I think you need both. Which can change if either. Yeah. Like, can you work on, is it easier to work on the love and the passion, or is it easier to work on the compatibility? I think you do need both. And I actually think that compatibility is often the one that people like don't even think of as important. Like, people put the love and the passion on a pedestal of like, this is what makes a good relationship. And people actually forget, like, because compatibility can be quite logistical and maybe doesn't feel very romantic to talk about. And it doesn't mean that you have to be like the same person, but it's about shared values. It's about shared, like, an overlap in interests. Like, you don't have to be into all of the same stuff, but it's kind of nice if you can do some activities and things together. Maybe like what's important to you, what those values are important to you, like politics, religion. Like, when Jean finds out that Jakob doesn't vote, like, that would be a deal breaker for me. Like, that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. It might not even be an issue for some people. And then things like just general life goals and lifestyle and stuff like that. Yeah. Jakob doesn't even respect Jean's profession. Yes. And she like holds it together so well when that comes out, right? And she's like, you're entitled to your opinion. But if I was Jean, I would just been like, I can't be with someone who doesn't see the value in what I do. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't believe that therapy works, yet he's dating a therapist. Like, that seems like that is not going to work. That's not going to work. Okay. I'm glad we're all on the same page here. Compatibility is important. But then I guess in Maureen and Michael's case, maybe it was a case of they were too similar. So the overlap was like, instead of, but then they didn't have the love. And then Is Jakob even the father of Jean's baby? That was a cliffhanger. That was a cliffhanger. Right. Okay. No, therapy doesn't work for everyone. Like, you know, there's no universal solution to everything for everyone. But he does just, like, outright dismiss her entire profession. Yeah, and they're trying to co-parent together. Like, yeah, if they just want to, like, have some casual sex, like, I'm sure Jean and Jakob would be great casual sex partners. What am I eating? Some fruit pastels. Okay. Are we ready to talk about Otis and Maeve? Are we going to go there? Are we ready? Right. Here's how I feel. I'm glad they finally got together, kind of. I'm glad, because I think if they had dragged out another series where they're not honest with each other about their feelings for each other, I might have strangled someone. I think it totally makes sense that Maeve has gone to America. I think it's great that Otis has evolved and didn't try and stop her, you know, was just like, that is great, like supported her going off to America and doing the gifted and talented thing. I'm confused as to why they didn't want to try long distance. But I guess if they're like super new, they're like, how would we navigate that? I don't know. The Otis and Maeve storyline was boring. Yeah, I'm glad that the voicemail got talked about. I see some support for Isaac in the chat, which I totally respect, and actually, like, with the sex scene with Isaac and Maeve. Was it a sex scene? I don't know. Whatever. The sexy scene with Isaac and Maeve. I can see why we like him, because that was a great scene. We love the communication and the consent, which we've talked about. However, here's my issue. I still haven't forgiven Isaac for deleting that voicemail. Me personally. And actually, I think that Maeve did more apologizing to Isaac for kissing Otis than Isaac did to Maeve for the voicemail. And maybe you think that, like, kissing Otis was a worse offense than the voicemail deletion. But one, like, Maeve and Isaac hadn't had a conversation about fidelity. What am I trying to say here? For me, what the deleting of the voicemail symbolizes is that Isaac won't let Maeve make her own decisions. Like, he effectively, by deleting that voicemail, was making a decision for Maeve because he thought he knew better than her. And that, to me, is so much worse than kissing somebody that you like. Like, yeah, that's how I feel about it. Okay. Yeah, the like the control, the manipulation, yeah, I didn't like it. And then I especially didn't like that it felt like Isaac did his one apology and then that was kind of it, and Maeve forgave him. But also I do think that that's kind of in line with Maeve's character. Like, even though she's like this strong female character who doesn't trust anyone kind of thing, but actually Maeve is very well practiced in forgiveness in terms of her mum and her brother and things like that, you know? So like somebody overstepping Maeve's boundaries, somebody letting Maeve down, and then groveling and apologizing, and Maeve letting them back into her life. That makes sense for Maeve's character, right? To see that pattern of behavior. So Isaac did like one apology and then that was it. Maeve did so much apologizing about kissing Otis. And like, I didn't think, anyway, the balance of crime versus like how much apologizing there was, just, it did not add up to me, which is why I'm not necessarily like team Otis. I'm just team Maeve, if I'm honest. Like I kind of like, I'm happy that Otis and Maeve worked things out and like admitted their feelings for each other. But partway through that season, especially, oh my God, the scene at Anna's house when Elsie had gone missing, and both Isaac and Otis are there just trying to one up each other, and as Maeve says, just like waving their dicks around. I was just like, oh my God, neither of these boys deserve Maeve. Just like, neither of them deserve her. But yeah, it made me very angry. That was such a hard scene to watch because neither of them seemed to even think about how Maeve was feeling at that point, and yet they're both trying to like win Maeve's affection. Anyway, that's how I feel about that. Okay, we've got a few men's left, and so I just wanted to talk about just general miscellaneous stuff, like notes that I made on each episode, but also like if there's anything that we haven't touched on that you really want to shout about and scream about, let me know. Let me know. But yes. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about like the RSE classes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, Lily. We've not talked about Lily. Yes. Lily's storyline in this season was really heartbreaking, but also I thought it was interesting that they like had her kind of going down like alien conspiracy theory route. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. because also I agree with Lily that aliens probably exist, right? Mathematically. But I do not believe that like we will come in contact with them, at least in my lifetime. We actually haven't talked about just Amy. We talked about Amy and Maeve. But yes, Amy with her vulva cupcakes and yes. I love Amy. And her like seeing Jean for therapy. And I also think it's, even though, right, so her boyfriend Steve, we don't really see much of him, we don't really learn much about him, but what we do know is that I think that Steve is a very loving and supportive partner. And also, did any of you notice that, you know, in that final scene where they all are wearing what am I trying to say? They're all wearing the cards around their neck, being proud of the things that they're made to feel shame about. And Steve said, "I think I'm demisexual." I don't know if anyone noticed that. Yes. Their shame signs. Yes. Were there any others? That was the only one I noticed. I want to kind of like go through that scene again and like pause and look at everyone's placards. But yeah. So I do think that Steve is great, but I'm really glad that Amy like did what she knew that she should do and break up with him, because also if there is going to be a series 4, I'm really excited to see a single Amy, because we've only ever seen her in a relationship, and I feel like that could be a good like character moment or story for her. I saw someone saying I'm a squirter. Yeah, I think I saw that one too. But yes. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? Oh my God, the sexting. We haven't talked about Vivian and Eugene's sexting and the role play and the fantasies. That was great. I loved that. We haven't talked about Eric's experience in Nigeria. Was anyone terrified for a moment? I was like, oh shit, is this show going to go there? And thankfully it didn't. Also on the Steve note, what is it he does? He's like, all vulvas are unique. What was it? But yeah, oh my god, yeah, so worried. Okay. What else? The IVF storyline with Hope. That was also like, do they do that in hospitals where they put like the pregnant people and the people giving birth in the same waiting room and area of the hospital as the people having IVF treatment? Because that seems painful. That seems hard. Yes. Raheem and Adam's friendship. Yes, that was unexpected. That was very unexpected. And Adam's poem. Yes. Yes, Adam and Ola's friendship got less attention this series because I feel like they like created it in the last series. Oh my god, Adam's dog show. I really hope that that is something that we see Adam doing more of, like something that he loves and something that he's good at. Adam and his dad both finding their passions. Yes. Okay, folks, it's been an hour. I think we should put this stream to rest. But this has been so fun to talk to everyone about series 3. So I'm looking at the chat down here. Oh my god, the poo scene. Yeah, we didn't talk about the poo scene or the cat scene, and maybe that's for the best. There really is so much more to say. But this video is going to stay live on my channel afterwards. If you want, you can continue the conversation in the comments once it's like a VOD. Also, if you are a member of my Patreon, which is called The Common Room, we've been having lots of in-depth chats about sex education in our private Discord server. So that's another place where if you want to continue talking to people and me about the series and also other TV shows, I'm sure tonight there's going to be lots of Great British Bake Off conversations in that Discord server as well. But yeah, thank you for watching. Also, just so you know, there's going to be no videos for the next 2 weeks because I'm taking a bit of time off, and then there's going to be fewer videos in October, just as I get some stuff sorted. So that's just a little FYI. But also, I hope that you enjoyed this live stream. I'd be really interested to know if this is something that you'd be interested in seeing more of on this channel or on like the More Hannah channel, kind of having more of these live discussions about things. This was a bit of an experiment, but this has genuinely been the highlight of my day. So this has been fun. And I'll see you after my time off when I post some more videos. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Do I do the subscribe thing? Subscribe, like, blah, 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 blah. Become a patron. All of that kind of stuff. Great. Okay. Bye.